Jesus Christ, and I say I'm not a developer. Oh my god. You guys can't see, okay? Turbine just explains why it does like that. Goodbye. There you go. Hope. Alright. Now this is a bit more complex than what you got for. Real repo looks like. Open up, I got the repo. I got it. Let me see what Solana repo looks like. It's crazy. Maybe I deleted it for space to see it. On anyway. Right? Oh, got it. Yeah. There it is. Look at that. This is Solana.
I see one of the fight.
All this is Solana. Let me just give you an idea. But oh, look, it's the faucet. Imagine if this worked. These tests.
Imagine if it would work, yeah.
That's funny.
It's drumming. It's a drumming coach.
So like, here for example, this is the runtime.
Run cargo build.
Fuck no. Absolutely not. It's gonna explode. Alright.
That's what I
See, it's even breaking my computer when I try and tabulate.
yeah, the Rust analyzer just, if you have that automatically right. Toxic. I get it.
Alright, cool. So, what we're going to do now is go to the URL bar here. And instead of hello anchor, do counter-pda-tutorial, maybe? Is that? Let's see if this resolves. Ah, it did! That's crazy. Cool. So now we're just going to implement a simple counter. So, it's just a thing that track the number. I will.
You shouldn't do.
Wait, how the fuck do I have 5 more soul now?
Oh, yeah, all of us. How many click on those? No. Just the lucky ones, he's not.
Maybe the faucet is just down.
Yeah, Lord Jacob answered.
Well, Jacob woke up at like 3 a.m. and fixed it. Jacob is one of the busiest people in Solana. Okay. I highly doubt it. He's a wonderful person. He's kind of a dick, but he has to. Like, very intentionally so. He deals with a lot of bullshit.
Part of the role.
He needs to be.
Yeah.
If he wasn't, he would be doing his job wrong. He's basically the liquidity of all of the grants that come out of Solana. They go through him. So, he sees a lot of bullshit every day of people like, can you pay me $50,000 to make a drain? No, I won't. But he also pays us salaries, so we can kill much shit. Alright, so, are we all looking at this same screen? Yeah.
Just one. Oh, sorry. One quick question. How much do you guys know about the account model of Solana?
Oh yeah, that was the whole thing that we were going to talk about.
Not that? Problem? about the account model of Solana, program model, the account model, the account structure. Not much.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about that first. Good call.
Check the slides.
That was good. This one.
That's why we had time left over before the.
So we're really prepared, if you could tell. Totally not jet lagged. Had the person running the whole thing have to cancel the day before this started. We love when southeastern United States is the coldest part of the country. All right, Virgie, you want to take this?
Yeah. But I'm gonna stand here because it's still on the inside. Yeah, so the Solana program model, in this case, well, we already worked a little bit with Anchor. That's the core of applications. The idea behind this little slide is to get you guys a little understanding of how the account structure is built up, what is responsible for what kind of different kind of accounts there are, and management and ownership. Jump to the next slide, please. So the accounts model. The main thing what you have to remember, there are two types of accounts. One is executable and one is data accounts. So executable accounts are, of course, programs, because there is a really good you can say that it's almost like the file system in Linux. So we have files, some of them are executable, some of them readable, writable, and some of them are just data. I'm back.
Yes.
After backup. Yeah, so the executable accounts have their own data account. So the executable account is basically the program ID that we were talking about just half hour ago, an hour ago. That was on the top of the declare ID in the code. That's going to be your executable account for the program. So when you are interacting with the program, you call that account. But actually, in the backside, that executable account doesn't store the code itself. The code is stored in the data account, which is associated with the executable account. Data accounts on the other side, sometimes you call them PAs, when you call them derived addresses. Those are really just pure to store data. They are not executable, so there's a flag of executable, and that's set to no. Yeah, that's basically the executable accounts you're not gonna change, so that's why you can call programs all the time, every time. The data accounts can change, so that's where that readable, writable account is coming to play. Let's jump to that. For the ownership, I already mentioned that the last time that every single account is owned by a program. So your wallet account is owned by the system program. If there's a token account for USDC or a bond, that's owned by the token program. If there is an associated token account which is relates to a specific mint and a user, that's owned by the associated token account. So that can that means that only the program itself are capable of writing into the data account which is it's related to. So that ensures the data integrity and security.
And one key thing that is super confusing is ownership versus like authority is kind of what we're calling it now, but it used to both be owner, and it was super confusing. It's like the programs own it, they're the ones that are allowed to like move the data between things, but the authority of like your wallet, that's actually you. You're the one who gives the thumbs up to the program to be able to move stuff. That's the idea.
Exactly. So when you are sending SOL, you are telling the system program that I want to send from my account to the other account, and the system program is going to know that you are the authority you can sign for that account, and that's why it's going to complete the trade. On the other side, programs, so account management, programs, because they are the only one who can access these data accounts, they have to ensure the proper management of the data accounts, including creation, updating the existing ones, or closing accounts when they are not needed. And that's the point where you can get back your rent exempt SOL from the accounts when you don't use them anymore.
I wish I did that diligently with my DevNetSol.
Next time.
Next time. There's always next time.
So each user has one account?
Yes, sir.
Each user has one account.
What's user?
Like me, I have a wallet, I have one account.
Yes,
Wallet.
yeah, that's one account. But
You don't store transactions, you store accounts.
Yes.
the transactions are in the blocks, so that's where the blockchain is built up, and that holds also your the amount of stuff that you have in your account. That's why they can check it back. That's why they can't really change it like that. So interactions. Programs can invoke other program instructions, leading the interaction between account managed by different programs. That means you can compose different programs together that interacts with each other, and that's part of the composability of Solana. So you can have multiple different programs doing different stuff, and they can call into each other to do specific things with specific accounts. Zero visualization. That's a little bit. So that helps to avoid copying all the data into memory, and that's a lot because so every single operation that you're doing in a chain is going to cost you compute units, and that's money. And we want to reduce the compute units usage as much as possible. So it's really handy to use a zero copy serialization because it's always a lot of computation that the chain otherwise would have to do.
You should talk to your watch.
No, that was bad from me. Sorry. The anchor framework.
Jeff texting us like, hey, I'm awake.
I do that too.
Hey. Oh, he does all the
Hey.
time.
So anchor framework. That's what we already looked at an hour ago. It's developed to simplify the writing of Solana programs. So the main language is Rust, and the anchor framework is built on top of Rust using a lot of macros, a lot of different techniques to make it much easier for you to actually manage the accounts and manage the data and give a really good structure for your code that's understandable. Abstraction complexity, so it handles under the hood, so it's a lot of macros. If anybody don't know what a macro is in Rust, it's basically Rust code that generates other Rust code during compilation. So you can abstract everything in a way that you like it, and then Anchor gonna handle all the administrative stuff behind the scenes. Well, the one downside of the whole thing is that sometimes Anchor program can become really bloated. So there's a lot of stuff that you not necessarily need in background, but it's still done because it's part of the Anchor framework. That's actually what I just said. Using macros, it reduces the boilerplate code and allows you to set up your own structure with less code. Yes, that's again for a little more structure. There is also macro for programs. There is also macro for accounts.
Like from the Anchor example, we have the hashtag derived. So that's a macro for accounts, right?
Yeah,
So that
exactly.
helps you, make it a lot easier. If you look at the Rust, you have to do different stuff with derived accounts. It's just, I think you have to see the.
So if you only so if you want to go pure Solana and native Rust, you only know what's the entry point of your program, and you only know what accounts, what instructions, and what data you get into the instruction, and from there you yourself have to build up all the structures for your accounts and how do you want to save the data and where do you want to save the data and how it should be created, for example, a program derived address.
So, for example, this is something I did a few days ago to demonstrate to my class, another class. This is the code that you would need to write an anchor for a counter. This almost fits on one page. And then if you wanted to do it with raw, Solana, you can see it's way more. It's like twice as much, and it's scarier.
So Anchor handles a lot of stuff behind the scenes, so you can focus more on the logic instead of trying to figure out how to do all those relations and all those.
For example, like just look at the increment. It's like, okay, let me get my counter and then implement it. And this could actually just be one line. This could just be ctx.account.counter plus equals 1. Okay. Whereas you have to, down here, you have to like do your fun little match, and then you actually have to like deserialize it, do it, and then serialize it back again, and do all this borrow stuff. And
Anchor does that for you automatically.
Is this supposed to be safer also? Because let's say
Yes.
if it was a micro for authentication, it's tested more.
Yes. Yeah. It's widely used and it's really looked on by many developers, and
Okay.
we advise, for example, for specifically for new users, if you want to start, you better start with Anchor because then you can understand a little bit of the structure. I mean, it's a little different than what actually Solana is under the hood, but it helps to set up a good structure, and it helps to make it readable. Because if you have to write a branch of serialization code, it gets really messy really quick. So
oh, yes, sir.
yeah.
Does Solana use its like own native serialization technique, or does it build on top of like protobuf or SB?
Bosh.
Bosh.
Bosh serialization. I use protobuf, but it's not really common in Solana. The serialization is cheaper. So all the Solana programs and all those stuff are using Bosh serialization also for account data, for instruction data, for a lot of stuff. So Bosh is the main to use for all this stuff.
Are there other frameworks rather than Anchor?
There are upcoming frameworks, and there are, for example, Pinocchio, which is much cheaper. Because the one problem with Anchor is that when forget his name, Armani started it up, it was just something that he needed. It was not something that the product, okay, I'm gonna plan it out, I'm gonna build it. No, it was something for him, for himself, because there was nothing like this before. It was just pure Rust, and you had to write it one by one, doing the serialization manually. And then, yeah, he decided that he wants to make it much simpler for himself and much easier and much more secure, because it's much harder to make mistakes when the structure is already set up for you. When there's already an account structure, it's going to expect that there are certain things in that account structure, but you can easily miss that in native Rust. Another really good thing with Anchor is, for example, you usually check the program ID that you are interacting with. And Anchor has them built in. So the token program, the system program, and multiple different programs that you can interact with is already inside of the Anchor framework. You can simply just, write the code, okay, this is a system program, and when you compile it, and the macro will expand to the code what you would have to write in native Rust. And testing, that's really nice. It's built in testing. It already creates a TypeScript test for you. You can test your Solana programs locally because it also fires up the local validator, so you don't have to actually deploy your program to the chain to DevNet. You can do it on local and just interact with your program locally. So you develop locally. When you're happy with your result, you push it up the chain, and then people can interact with it.
So that's nice for the issue we had with the DevNet Soul just now, right?
On local, there is no limit for airdrops for Solana if you want to test.
You said that TypeScript, there are no Rust unit tests.
No. The reason is because most of the people, if you build a smart contract, you're going to build a front end for it, because front end has to interact with your contract, which is the most common language is TypeScript.
Okay.
So there are two really good reasons for using TypeScript. One is the most common.
But no, don't. Wait.
So one is it. Wait. Oh, where is it? He's got it. So where was I? So
TypeScript.
TypeScript is one is that it's one of the most common, and the second one is when you write your test in TypeScript in your test file, it's pretty easy to just pick it up throw it in your front end, and it's running. So you just have to build the outside parts of the front end. You can pick up the test functions you already wrote to test your program, and so there are multiple advantages of having TypeScript as a testing framework inside of it.
Why is it not find my wait down? Am I trying to skip both validator? Huh? Right? RPC request there, request already filled.
And you create.
Oh no, you just say local net, that's why.
When you create a new Anchor program or an Anchor project, that's the whole thing what you're gonna get. So if you know Rust a little bit, this is a cargo toml file where you have all your dependencies, but there's also an Anchor toml now, which contains the dependencies for specifically for Anchor. And there you also get a test with a file inside, and you can easily run it with yarn or with npm or anything like that. And it actually also creates, forget that. Anchor creates an IDL. That means it's an interface description language, which pretty much says that, okay, those are the instructions of my program, those are the values that those instructions are accepting. So based on that, when you are importing that description into your TypeScript file, you can easily pick up the functions. You don't have to find programmatically what are those functions, how to get to those functions, because it's already there.
Yeah, good. Okay, I guess now we just...
Yeah, that's pretty much it for a simple overview of the account structure. So everything is an account on Solana. Some of them are executable, some of them are data, and every account is owned by the program. And if it's an account, if it's a wallet, you are the authority that can sign it. So it can understand. Yes, and then we can go further.
Alright, should I real quick deep dive into the PDA?
You can make your
Yeah, I'll take like 2 seconds. Go back to our best friend, Solana, how it works. We buffer the thing, this thing. Oh. That's gone. Where's off first? Where's the bump? Where's the bump? No. No.
What did the empty last name?
Ah,
Why got it?
where the fuck is the curve? Okay, so program derived accounts, they are off the curve. So the curve is basically your private key and your public key are just data points on this giant massive curve that has gazillions of data points essentially. So anything on the curve has a corresponding private key. So if I have the private key, I have full control over what this wallet can do. So that's why you never want to leak your private key. For program-derived addresses, they don't have a private key. They're owned by other things. So this is really good because then nobody can just start grinding your public key and hoping that they can get into this account and get full authority over it. It's impossible because they are off the curve. And so what that means is, like, for example, this is Alice's USDC account. To actually get to your USDC account, you have like these seeds, which basically point you in the direction that you need to go. And it's always like whatever program owns it, plus whatever the other seeds are. And for token accounts, it's just always the token program, and then the mint. So for example, USDC, and then your wallet. So it's like, okay, I see that you're interacting with this program. You want this thing and this thing. If I take these 3 things, it'll always derive down to this. But I can only have authority over this if I have the signer here. So it's like, if you lose this, then all your PDAs for that account will also be vulnerable. But your individual PDA accounts like this are safe as long as you keep this account safe. That's the important part of it to understand.
And one also major point, now, just wait, I go. Now I'm gonna keep them all clear.
All right, cool. So now let's go back to Anchor. So if y'all have a laptop, go to counter-pda.tutorial or -tutorial, and then click Start, and
Comes all the way.
okay, all of them comes all the way completed.
Yeah, it
So-
goes into the PDA and then the data, how it's fed in and stuff.
Okay.
Just like you show it. Or
Oh no, never mind. They don't do the logic at least. Okay.
yeah, I think you gotta add the actual counting and then the concept of that.
Okay. Well, we can ignore the stuff that I can just explain it to you. Okay, so here are the things that we care about. We'll go up. Oh, this one's actually fun because they do store an authority. So this is your counter object. This will be an actual account that stores data on chain. Remember, it's either you store data or you store a program. So this will be storing data. And the actual structure of the data is simply that it'll have an authority, which is a public key, who's allowed to update it, and then what the current value of the counter is. Very simple. So then, once you have your data structure, you actually have to make these derive account things. These are going to be like, for your instructions, this is how you define what accounts will be needed for each individual instruction. So for each instruction, you will have these different derive accounts. Typically, in a normal code base, you would actually have it such that all your different programs and stuff like this are in different files and such. So you'd actually have like your state here. So this is like for just minting, and this is how the state would look like. And then there's like this actual instruction here, which will use various parts of this state. But then I have just for this file, and you can see it takes a lot more. But it's like I only have this, and then I have the one instruction here. And then same here and here and here, because they get a lot bigger and more complex as you make programs that actually do things. But for now, they'll all be in one file, but typically they are distributed amongst a few different files. So first, we'll actually look at the create counter. And this one's important because big difference here, there's a few things. So authority, counter, and system program, whereas here we only have authority and counter. Why that is? Here we have this init, and that means we want to create this counter. To be able to create something, you have to pass the system program as well, because that's the one that actually does the creating. I need to know all the accounts beforehand, hence I need to pass the system program. Here for the counter as well, beyond just init, we have this seeds. So this is basically like, oh, how do I know what is my like unique identifier essentially for this counter? For this, it's just the authority as a reference. This would become problematic because if I wanted to go and make a second counter, since it's just my public key, it is going to try and initialize the exact same thing because it's the same seeds. But if we did something like, what I typically do is like have a timestamp here, then you know that's always going to be unique. I'm never bored. But for now, we'll just make it so there's only the one. You always need a bump. That's the thing that pushes you off the curve. It's like, hey, you're going in this direction. And then you need to specify who the payer is because somebody has to pay money to make this account exist. And then finally, how much space it's going to take up. They just wrote 100 for this, but there is actual specifications for how much space things will take up. I'll have it somewhere in my bookmarks.
There's also an extra function I just noticed. I don't know how long is it in Anchor. There is also an init space derived macro,
Yes.
which does it automatically. So Anchor is also
Does.
improving.
Right here. So what I do here, and then when I do initialize mint, come on. Over here you can see for my
Hi, excuse me. Oh, is this the space for the decentralized governance?
no, I think that there's
Should be there.
or
Main inventory. Downstairs in the main.
Or in the SIP.
Oh, there's the course going on here. There's one there.
There's one there,
here.
but we're not doing that, that's for sure.
This is
What's the third one? No. Can you explain you the curve?
Yeah, we are talking about Solana smart contracts.
Oh, all right. Thanks, yes. What?
yeah, okay, so the curve
And you the curve.
Yep.
Then what do you need to move down?
so this is the bump here and here.
That's just one byte. It's just a U8. If you know what a U8 is, you know what just a simple byte.
It's like 250.
Yes.
You need to be off curve because only real wallets users are on the curve.
Ah.
And invalid keys programs that actually use keys that are off the curve, not valid keys, to differentiate them from factual accounts, like user accounts.
So you basically take the curve and take it a bit down and
Yep.
you make a second curve to validate the transaction. Okay.
And you use the bump to push the account until it's not
Yeah,
no
it's a
longer on the
parallel,
curve.
you're just taking it a little bit down so you're getting the same.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like the big thing is that there will not be any associated private key with that public key.
Yeah.
It's no longer on the curve, so nobody can just steal your stuff.
Good.
And then only the programmer is the one who can modify the account or actually sign for the account to do transaction or whatever.
But yeah, here you can see. Why do I even try to control it anymore? But you can see here I have this account. This is my account structure, and I say how big it's going to be, and it's based on this is U8, this is a U8, which give us the 1 and the 1, and this is U64, 68, the public is 32, and then the strings are 4 plus whatever length of thing you're going to use, essentially. And then this just lets me pull that number in, and I think if I hover over this, yeah, it says 111, so it actually has that.
So, because
Space.
So basically the space for every type in Rust is across all systems, like whatever hardware you use is always the same.
This
Yeah,
is
so it's basically just like
and then this is on this PC and one
divided by 8. So this is like 64 divided by 8 becomes 8. These are 8 times 32 divided by 8. I'm not going to do the math right now. But yeah, there is a. I have the bookmark somewhere. Where? Oh, use crypto.
so with from using is 2 bytes, music 4 bytes, music okay.
Somewhere.
You're gonna have to clean up, man. A lot of mess there. actually.
Lazy. What's that private key.id?
Where is that?
Last name.
Alright. Okay, so now we have our good old friend create counter, where we have to do all of that stuff, and let's actually write the code here. So, we have our context of create counter here, which means it'll have an authority, a counter, and a system program. So what we will do is we want to get our, alright Jeff, don't write TypeScript, you can do it. Let counter equal ctx dot accounts dot counter.
Good.
Oh, the hardest part was let, so that should be a constant. But here now we have our counter friend, and for this counter, what we want to do is set inner, and then we just say our authority.
Authority. Oh boy, it's so hard. Art.
What?
You need to be mutable by the counter.
Oh yes.
So because if you wanna actually update the counter, it needs to be changeable. So that's why you need to be make it mutable, otherwise it will not change.
You just need to actually have first fucking for the
Keep myself on.
curly reasons.
Oh, okay. Yes, I need to. Got it. Okay.
Now it's missing this one too.
Oh, okay. It's angry because it's working.
So that's actually what we just talked about. So macros help to be able to structure your account like this automatically.
Yeah. So set inner is basically like initialize, or I mean, can you use it on updating and stuff as well? I've never seen it, but
Yeah, the basic usage for setting there is just to set the inner struct instead of setting the fields one by one for the struct. You can just create the whole struct and set it to the inner struct.
yeah, because what you could do this, or you can do like counter dot authority is equal to ctx dot blah 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 blah, and do the same thing for counter.
So you could do it one by one.
So it merges the
Yeah.
fields together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wonderfully inconsistent. I bet I do set inner here and if we go to like initialize Oracle, I probably manually yep for that.
What's the preferable way to do that?
That's
Set inner or the...
whichever I feel like at that particular moment. I mean, to me, it's the same amount of lines regardless, so
Yeah.
it doesn't really
It's always the
doesn't
same.
matter. Now, there are probably some people that have strong opinions on it, but I don't.
I don't either. But it looks a little nicer, but that's it.
Yes, like the only thing is you can be very clear that this is a counter.
Yes.
But beyond that, Matt.
So before we proceed, can I ask a question? If you scroll down, they need stuff that you show in there. This one.
This here.
Yeah, they need the account we need and you set the seed, it's your public key, right?
Which one? The authority?
In authority, yeah.
Yeah, that will be your public.
Yeah. You said initially that if this is reinitialized, it will be the same structure,
Actually,
right? If you don't have a timestamp.
Yeah. So if you try to initialize, I mean, I can show you this right now. Oh wait.
yeah. That count dot. Oh, fucker. You're right.
Authority dot LP. Sorry.
So I did one up to
Info dot
keep.
There we go.
Use the function.
Quadra, it's all echo. On error. Expected module found counter. I'm gonna just delete here.
yes.
So I wanted to ask something like more about Rust. Maybe it's not like related to it because I asked you before about like the size of specific types being static in Rust, right? But for example, in C, when you use row pointers, right? Addresses are basically related to like what architecture you are using. It can be 32 bits or 64. So this value can change basically on what device you are programming on. And I guess in Rust there is nothing like this, or
Nothing here. Not in Solana for examples. Okay. It's a little super. So yeah, I'm not that big with C, but I'm not really good with C. I don't know what pointers are and specify the architecture that you're running on. So it's
U size, there's a primitive called U size, which is the native type of device you're using. So
Okay.
Yes, yes,
size
size.
64, but the SVM is always 64 bytes, I think.
Okay, it's over 64. Okay.
Yeah, so
Man, that's all.
I didn't complete my question. So the question was, it was about to ask you, if you initialize once this stack, you try to initialize, it's like a singleton, so it's going to know that it is already initialized and not override, or will it reset on the state?
it will say, fuck you now, this is already initialized,
okay.
you can't do this.
I remember running into that with the pre-rec, I think, already had the DBA made with
Oh yeah, if you did it and tried to do it again.
yeah,
Why is
it
this?
was like somewhere in similar.
Okay. It's just internet pushing then.
That's what so it should be.
Sick. Alright, we're having a great time.
You're clapping for our
Not about Mara Star, China
I
Mutable.
think they got the topics right there.
functional something. Yeah. Then
So it's saying this can't be immutable because we're borrowing it? Is that? Alright.
I didn't have the enter before the mute. The I don't know how the symbol's called, but the
Thing.
yeah the
R, then
wait.
I think you only need to end mute
What do you do? Yeah,
on the right side, not on the.
that's the pie.
Does it not here?
Yeah, I think it's only on the right side. So here, end mute, and like this on the other side should be nothing.
This is why it's how that I've written in the past.
That's really common practice. If you want something, check back.
Okay, I see.
I do it all the time.
Okay.
Wait.
Now you can see me losing soul.
Yeah. Six. It's right at the beginning.
You're trapped.
But
Cool. So now if we go to tests, and I can show you right now. Why this can't just be random? Come see. Yes. Cool. So now you can see this first one passed, but if I try and run it again, it'll fail because it has already been initialized or account balance is below rent exempt threshold. So that's what will happen. And then now we can see that we have this thing. What do you think the wallet address is gonna be? Of course it's this one. Now you can see the update counter. If you okay, so if we go to that transaction, you can see adding one counter, count is now 1. Run it again. Newest one. No, that was still that same one.
Did it go?
Okay, no, here it is.
Yeah, looking good.
So now that should, yeah, current count is now 2. That's the next level beyond Hello World of Anchor, I would say.
Using PDA and stuff.
So that was the example of the program having his own data account which it can manage add data and stuff like that.
So a nice thing about Solana Playground is they have a lot of these like small tutorials you can do. I think they also have creating a game, and then it also works with updating the account and just some basic stuff. So if you, I think the question was like, how do I prepare for the builder score? I think if you do that kind of stuff, you're definitely
Set yourself
Yeah.
ahead for sure.
yeah.
At some point, I think that I saw on YouTube, how they call it,
The bootcamp
the bootcamp.
and 30-hour thing. Yeah,
It's still a thing, or because I remember that I understood everything back then.
Which one?
I don't want
There's HTML a little more up. You can from this. Yep. More up. There.
Ah,
Yes. So
Okay, I understand.
there are bootcamps. There are stuff they do, but we are doing it much better. That's also one of the main point of having these live sessions, that we can support, we can help, and we can also, it can be really dry if you're just reading through a lot of instructions or just
Yeah.
sitting and watching and not doing anything. So that's why our builder squad are more interactive.
Regarding that, is there an opportunity for someone to take it? I think before you said there were months it would be start, right?
Yep.
And move on his own pace, or it's something that you have to be knowing.
We're very much live class and you participating because a lot of to be very transparent, like our business model and like how we operate is like we are, you can think of us almost as a headhunter, like we place people, like we train people up and we place them at places. So it's like, if you want us to get you, we have a 100% success ratio right now because we take the time to because every single protocol comes and it's like, we want your best students. Like, okay, that's what everybody says, but no, that's actually not what you want. You want the person who's going to vibe with your team the most. And so that's where it's like, okay, we know that your team is a bit more professional and you like to do things this way and structured, so we'll get you somebody who's like that. Or out of if you, for example, a company that I would run, I want the fucking most degenerate person who's on drugs all the time and writes a gazillion lines of code every day.
Which
And
is
it's just-
crack that.
Yeah, I want the crack dev on crack.
The other good thing is in the live session is that we can have a feeling of how people are,
Okay.
what they're capable of, and it helps us much in finding the right spot.
Yeah,
For-
I'm asking mostly because, for example, for me, I would have a work, they work, so in order to participate in something that requires 20 hours a week, it may or may not be possible. So,
Yeah. So a lot of those 20 hours,
You can do it in less than 20 hours.
yeah, you can definitely do it in less than 20 hours, and only 4.5 hours a week are in class.
okay.
The 20 hours is it might take you 15 hours to do the homework and kind of really understand things.
And also they have 2 time slots for the classes, so if you're working during the day, you can join one. If you're, especially if you're from around this area, I think it's at 11 or 10.
I think there is one is in the afternoon too, and one is
8 hours later, so that we
yeah.
European
Local time.
Big time.
So
Yeah.
10 till 11:30
In the morning.
evening.
In the night.
So yeah.
Then they let you know, okay.
And then
You are.
During the morning, what time?
so it's because it's based on the US time. So for us, for me, it was 2 p.m. And then so if you're, let's say you're busy or tired from work, you show up to the class, and if you miss some stuff, you can always watch some stuff back in the weekend and
Okay.
Yeah, so we do record all the like you're supposed to attend all of the lectures, and I highly recommend it. Also, because like the other big thing, the other big thing is like it's not just connecting with the teachers, connecting with the other students.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it is like finding out because you will almost everybody builds your capstone project as like a group of 2 to 4 people,
Wow.
and some of those turn into companies.
Yeah.
but if you want to go over it again at my own pace, like feel free to the weekend. That's what I did
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, and we do everything on Google Classroom, so like I can literally go here and I can look up all the videos from the cohort I took
Nice.
a year ago. Dude, I love that picture.
So actually we do lead you through the whole process, but you have to put in the work. So we can show you how to.
But there is a possibility, for example, to if it's in the week, I can I can put the time in weekends to
Yes.
But you do have to show up to the class.
and find the people I am expected through this week, maybe or something.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
And we usually have our office hours will be on the weekends. Like
Ah.
we fully understand that a lot of people operate on the like, okay, well, I can make it to the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night class and learn, but I can't dedicate time to this until the weekend. That's how we operate. Like our office hours are always on Saturdays and Sunday, basically. Cool. All right.
Sometimes also nice in the
Jeff.
weekend they have workshops. So I remember I had a workshop on testing. I learned from Leo, I think. So yeah, that's and you also have the enrichment week. So they have like guest lectures and yeah.
Today actually is testing day. They are testing Anasco with how is it? March?
Oh yeah.
Marshy?
Yeah, he built a testing framework and it can help to test Solana smart contract.
Yep. I can't. He's coming up all of them. I'm so excited. I am. What link? What?
Yeah, we're not there yet, but
Oh, we aren't?
oh, are we?
I don't know, dude. We could be. What else would we do? I'm just getting tired. I want Jeff to take over the interview at this point.
Any questions?
Jeff is a guy responsible for the tokens.
No, that's Jacob.
Sorry, yeah. I don't think it was a good day. Thank you. That is.
Combined. You should be functioning great. After 7 hours of sleep.
Alright.
It wasn't combined.
I'm curious if you have some.
Yeah, I have no idea. Alright, Jeff. Uh-oh. Oh.
Oh.
Hello. Oh, God.
Uh-oh. Sound is not working.
We're just gonna.
No, nothing's working.
I think it's a what?
I thought it was 15 minutes now, Jack.
It's just going. The schedule's just kind of happening.
Everybody was so
Okay,
good.
cool.
We
Yeah, no,
blazed
oh,
through.
yeah. Yeah, I totally want to do the things that suck with you. You'll love it.
Yeah. I need to give me.
Yeah, man.
Dude, my brain is shutting the fuck down. Okay, I'm trying. So I have to unplug you from this thing. I'm gonna plug you back in, but it's trying to do the audio, and the audio is breaking. So I'm just gonna keep telling you to talk, and eventually, it'll hopefully work.
There's only one person that doesn't need to be told to talk more than me. That is the person I'm talking to.
Yep, this is why Jeff and I are not allowed to teach classes together.
Oh, totally. We can do it.
Oh wait, okay, this is working. Now it's coming out of
It's
my audio.
Turn around like this too.
There we go. All right.
Wow. Hey, y'all. How we doing?
Hi.
No.
Great.
Okay, so I know that I'm probably talking to a room full of people. English may or may not be your first language, and I just got to give you my generic disclaimer that I talk fast. So if you need me to slow down, just say "did," or just be like "yo." Anyway, hi, I'm Jeff, one of the co-founders and CEO of Turbine. You have the tremendous privilege of being in the room with three of our absolute chads. You know, one of the things that me and my co-founder have in common in comparison to everybody else in our organization is that we are not graduates of Turbine. So everybody that works with us came through our programs. So, I spent 30 years as an educator here in the U.S. working in private schools, and there is no better endorsement of what you do than you hire your own people. So I understand y'all are in the room here now for the research session. And I want to get into that, but with everything we do, I think there's a little bit of why we choose what we do and how we approach things. Turbine, which was originally called Terra Builders Alliance almost 40 years ago, we were founded on the idea that there's a major gap in this industry that is absolutely necessary for what we believe is important, which is adoption, which is professionalism, which is, bringing an academic and real-world flavor to a new industry so that the skeptics can get over the hump of thinking it's just a bunch of teenagers in their parents' basement hacking on a computer, drinking cough syrup or something. So, we decided we were going to do this in a way very different than what existed at the time in Web3, which was, you want to learn about it, here's some videos and docs, go read it, go watch it, figure it out. Problem there, the industry moves way too fast that something that we produce a really good video on a topic now, by the time that person figures out how to use those concepts, the concepts are likely antiquated. They're different. So my background being an educator, we brought a very, to use a fancy word, you probably know since you're there at university, a very pedagogically sound adult learning theory model. We do everything live like this. Everything we do is social learning. Adults learn best in social environments. They learn fastest because while we don't point out who the lead dog in the room is, when there's somebody in the room that's moving fast and the person facilitating can identify that fast mover and move at that speed while supporting the other areas, adults like that environment. We inherently enjoy the competitiveness to move faster and challenge ourselves. We also are a little bit more skilled in identifying what we know and what we don't know, and then on our own time going and working on the don't know, so we're better prepared to be in that environment. So this is where we were founded. We have primarily before the last year been focused on technical components, mostly with the smart contract area. Then, we identified a gap in Solana. And the story's very simple. During ore supply, if you are on Solana, you know what that might be, caused a lot of congestion, and ANZA, that used to be Solana Labs, they split off into two. They maintain the client, the validator, the machination under the program that says this account's okay, and this contract's okay, and this person has enough money to do this. Okay, I vote on it. I say it's okay. 2/3 of the people in the ecosystem say it's okay. All right, it's good. Let's write it to the chain. pretty much how it works. So we realized that at that time that there weren't enough people working on the SVM, the Solana virtual machine. Everyone wanted to build applications. Everyone wanted to build an application and put it on chain and make $1 billion, because that's reality. Everyone that wants to does it, right? Because, everybody who joins Solana becomes a billionaire and drives a Lambo. That's not true. But what is true is I was waking up every day and looking on X or Twitter and seeing, thanks to Cheeto, Anza, and MarginFi, 3 teams that have their own work to do. Thanks to them for helping with the congestion. And I'm sitting in my apartment in Atlanta, Georgia, in the US going, we need more soldiers at the front. Not only now, but if we're going where we believe that we're going, if we're going to have a lot more adoption, we're going to have a lot more people using this technology. We can't be saying, hey, thanks, volunteer firefighters for leaving your day job and coming and putting out the fire today. We needed professional firefighters. We needed professionals. And so that actually spawned our SVM program, an advanced program. We selected the best people who have graduated our core program, and we went out into the ecosystem and we found people that were smart, were passionate about Solana, and could work well together in a social environment. Because the way we do things is not the only way. But we do believe it's the best way for people who like social learning and collaborative networking. It doesn't work for people that just want to do what they want to do in their room. And those people have tremendous value. And I respect them and love them, and I bring them in as speakers. But we all have a choice. If you go to the university there, that's where you chose to go to school, as opposed to something else that maybe wasn't as much of a fit for you. All right, so we started this program. The very first one we ran turned into a research program. We didn't mean it to be, but it did, and we let it. And it yielded some really cool stuff. You may have seen Solana, how it works during the course of your day-to-day. That came out of our first program. I'll actually show you a quick screenshot here of what that came from. And this all will lead into the research that I know that you're sitting here to understand. I think context is important because research is a lot more about how. Being a good research is being strategic, but also being flexible in moving in a direction that you maybe didn't plan, but is the right way to go. Especially with the internet. I mean, I've been around a long time. This thing has not always existed. Okay? This thing that we're doing here has not always existed in my life. For me, going to high school and even the beginning of college, research meant you went to a big building called a library, you opened up a little drawer called a card catalog, you pulled little cards out that had your code on it, and then you'd have to go search for these things called books and flip through the paper in the book to find what you wanted.
Right there.
That's what research used to be. Okay? And the interesting thing that we're used, read through entire strips of a year of newspaper on microfilm. Now people are like, oh, that sounds so hard. Well, doing it the way we do it now is just as hard for different reasons. But let me show you what we did, and this will exemplify what I think is the most important part of research. The first day of that SVM program, I went in and, working with mostly people who have worked at the application level. Didn't know how the Solana machine underneath worked. To be so fast, to be so cheap, to be so resilient, to rely only on the laws of physics and remove software as a bottleneck. These are parts of the Solana ethos, the Solana lore. And I basically said, who can tell me what the full journey of a transaction is from the time somebody connects a wallet until they get finality. And nobody knew. So what we did is, and what you're looking at is, we split the group into little partners. Most of the people didn't really know each other. Okay? And I'm sorry if this is giving you a headache. But we broke everything down by step. Connects wallet, sent to wallet, We broke it down. And then we made groups that went further and deeper. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this. This, what I just showed you, 2 weeks later, Lawston came to me and said, for my project, I want to put together an explainer for various audiences on how Solana works based on the transaction journey. Before the program started, I had zero intention of doing that. I just started with a question. I knew everybody needed to understand what happens, because it's a lot. What piece of that is most interesting to you? Go become expert on that. This is the same thing I said to my students when I was in school. I was actually an English teacher. I wasn't a tech guy. And then I say this to our researchers in our research program now. Pick something that's interesting to you and go become expert on it. And then you're going to produce content from your area of expertise. For me, that's what I believe research is. Find a problem, ask a hard question about it, find everything you can, connect the dots, be analytical, and then as an expert, present that expertise to an audience to share it so you create more experts and we build a body of work around this topic so other people don't come along. Okay. Oh, by the way, I do have a rule of 2 feet. If anyone's bored by me, you can leave. You've never hurt my feelings. Except for the guy that just left. Just kidding. So, we have this SVM program, and since then, that SVM program has become much more of a technical program. Berg, who's in the room right now, teaches the SVM. We work on the runtime, and Debbie over there is in that program with us. And
Jeff.
We have the Solana Foundation and other groups.
Jeff, we actually got one more guy from the SVM cohort here at Athens.
I'm also in the research cohort actually.
Oh, you are? Oh, who are? Tell me your name.
And I
donate. Go into the screen.
Donate K-Drugs online.
Oh, you're Dodie!
Yes.
What's up, man?
All good? So far, so
Oh,
good.
it's so cool to see you, man. You're like one of the few people I said it's cool if you do both. Because I know you're working on some serious stuff. You definitely have that vibe of commitment. Awesome. I'm so glad that you're there and meeting the guys and super cool. I mean, you know me, so you know that I always talk like this.
And I recommend the programs and especially the research ones. So many great guests so far. So
Cool. I'm glad you're enjoying. The research program came from, basically I'm looking around and I'm a little competitive myself. And I'm like, other ecosystems have better research. Ethereum's research model is good. They have a lot of good research. Swing does a lot of good research. They focus on that stuff. From the top down, it's important to those ecosystems to have this academic flavor. Polkadot's another one. You could read a lot of really good stuff. And here I am thinking, Solana is underrepresented in the high-quality academic style research part of this industry. And so, I went to some people I know that do believe this is important. In particular, Anagram and Lily Liu. Lily Liu is the president of the management at Solana Foundation, and also the co-founder of Anagram, which is a super interesting project. I encourage you to take a look at what they do. I said, I want to make this a formal program. I think we could do a really good job with it. We did a good job the first time without even trying. We could really formalize this, and they said, yeah, go for it. So that's what the program looks like now. And it was really a matter of, this is a gap, we need to fill it. We have the talented people to present really high quality programming, and we have a model that works in getting people interested, engaged, and really pushing people. I mean, Jody can tell you, what we do is not easy. It is not easy. Our programs are probably more rigorous than anything else you'll find in Web3. And that's why we find that people that want to comment want that. There's a lot of people out there that want to, okay, here's some videos, and over the next month I need to do it, and ship a hello world, and, you know, I get a certificate. Okay? People don't come to us to get an NFT certificate of graduation. They come to us to grow really fast, really deep, and to network with the best minds in the industry. And so we have this research program. So I'm going to share something with you that please don't be overwhelmed by it. Know that you've seen this before. Because I want to talk about opportunity. You know, y'all are there at a university. I would make the assumption that professional opportunities are probably what's important to you. You know, you're spending your weekend at AthensDAOx because you want to learn about this Web3 Solana stuff if you don't know a lot about it. And you want to be like, okay, well, you know, I mean, I'll use a US example. You know, my parents just paid $200,000 over 4 years for me to get an education. I can't go and tell them I'm going to go and trade Bitcoin for a living. Because that's what your parents would do. You know? Quant, and I got a degree, and I'm, you know, brilliant mathematician. I'm going to go work for a crypto exchange. They're going to hear I paid all that money for my kid to trade Bitcoin. They're not going to get it. So, you know, we want people to understand this is an emerging industry with very real opportunities that are well paid. Okay? Except for Nate and I, my co-founder, everybody graduated our programs and we pay them. Over 100 people that we've trained in the last 2 years are working professionally, mostly or full-time on Solana, getting paid as such. Okay? It's a lot of people. We gotta do better. In the research area, what I have up here is all the different things that people are paying for good researchers to produce content for. Okay, and I'm not going to go through all of this, but that audience section is important. There are so many different audiences that are paying for good research, that are hiring for jobs. I've got 3 jobs right now because we help people find jobs as part of our model. I've got 3 jobs right now that are, we need good researchers. People that know how to ask a good question, go find credible, relevant research, be responsible, ethical stewards of the blockchain space, and express that to various audiences in different forms to educate that. Again, like I said before, become expert and share that expertise. And it looks at it, there's a lot of different forms. Right now we're working on a big contracted research piece. And the team I built has good writers, good data mining scientists, good technical minds who understand the SVN. You know, I built a team of different people to produce this content. And it's a pretty well-paid gig. So the other thing about research is it can be a side hustle. Usually research is done not, you know, show up to stand-ups every day and ship code on a schedule. It is a freelance, get yourself involved and test it out kind of opportunity. Like, there's a Super Team Earn, and I'll let the guys tell you what that might be. Super Team is a community model Solana, and they have something called Super Team Earn. If you go to the Super Team Earn website, there's always research opportunities. And I'm going to tell you right now, you could be barely okay at it and win some of these bounties. Because 90% of the people are ChatGPT this thing, and that's obvious. We had 150 people apply for a research program that we're in the middle of right now. 40 got in. I'd say of the 110 that didn't get in, 60 of them didn't get in because it was obviously ChatGPT the second I opened their application. And by the way, chat is fine, but it should be take a question, dump it in, and then submit. There needs to be some individual correct, because you're gonna hit a wall. Does anybody want me to talk about any of these areas? Let me kind of pause for a second and hear what you all think. What do you want to hear me talk more about here on this topic?
How to
Yeah, go ahead, speak up because I can't see hands.
Yeah, you can choose from the list. But
Yeah.
Oracles are the ones that define like the current tick price of
Yeah.
different things. Yes. So I would like to hear about oracles.
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 Talk about oracles. Okay, so an oracle is, in general, very high level. You have stuff, you have content or information, data, that is not generated or living on chain, but is needed to make things on chain happen. Best example is a price of an item. Let's say that somebody builds, and we know somebody who did this. Somebody builds what's called a real world asset, where they have a token on chain that tracks gold. Okay? So people can trade on chain a synthetic token that represents the price of gold. Is there something wrong with my presentation?
No, it's just people being bitch. I need to put myself into not disturb.
Okay, I'm actually going to stop sharing too for a second.
Okay.
Yeah. So what an oracle is a trustless, but it is a quality pipeline to get trusted off-chain data on-chain for people to be able to trade in a way that we can be assured that it is not being compromised. Give you an example. Chainlink is the most well-known oracle in Web3. Okay, it's the oldest, it's the best. Basically, what Chainlink has done is they have built these secure pipelines of data from many, many different price feeds, many different sources. They have an algorithm that, with all these feeds come into the Chainlink functionality, this algorithm grabs it, says what's the high, what's the low, what's the median, let's do some math on it, and then let's pipe that price on chain where people can trade saying this is the price. It can be pretty well rest assured. This is accurate data. Because you're purists in Web3, gosh, people are like really hate anything off chain. But oracles are a necessary evil of off-chain data. Okay? So your companies that do this, Chainlink, PIF, Switchboard, their strategy is not, what's the data out there. It's how can we maintain the integrity of this data from the source to the algorithm to the chain. Because people are trading lots of money and investing and essentially gambling, because investing is gambling, on these numbers. And these numbers, look, prediction markets. Okay, all these things rely on off-chain data in a credible, trusted way with some proof that what's actually out there is what's hitting the chain, and that nobody can bust that pipeline and inject their own needs in order to manipulate something on chain. Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
I might actually have a pretty nice example of how off-chain can be sometimes more reliable. So with the weekend we had with the chain congestion or being difficult to get transactions through, the price of Solana dropped to, I think, $200 at the lows on-chain. And stuff like Amino, which does DeFi lending, if they use the on-chain sold price, a lot of people would have been liquidated, while they use the Oracle, so a lot of people basically save liquidation because they use the actual price instead of the price on Sol, which was due to people not being able to trade. So that's why, yeah, stuff like that might be a good protector for, why you need oracles.
So, I mean, and look, oracles will increasingly be important. Because I started with real world assets because real world assets are becoming a very big item. I mentioned Oro. Oro is a project, actually one of our graduates is the co-founder. They were a winner of the hackathon. And Oro is a real world asset gold trading on Solana. Okay? That's a big deal. That's a big industry. Strong Oracle, strong pricing, reliable pricing is integral. The idea that Solana is going to be NASDAQ on chain, that's not just a pipe dream. That's not just an idea. A lot of what's happening with like Fire Dancer, you should know what that is. We are moving towards all of on chain. And in order to do that, tracking real world data on chain in a reliable, bulletproof way is integral. So the Oracle model is interesting. It's not easy. We've done some fun, Oracle aggregator stuff where, we have a couple oracles set up to a smart contract, and the one that's more reliable gets hit. You get a governor that switches on and switches off. I'll give you an example of how an oracle actually directly impacts a smart contract. Would that be interesting? If you guys want, okay? So let's say you have a prediction market, and the prediction market is I'm going to predict what the closing price of, let's see, I have a choice: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and AVAX. I'm going to play this game on a daily basis. I'm going to predict what the closing price at 11:59.59 UTC is going to be. And I'm going to submit my bet. I'm going to pay my, one sol, whatever. It wouldn't be that. It's usually like one USDC. I'm going to pay, and I'm going to own this prediction at this time slot. So other people could predict it as well, but if I'm the first, I'm going to win. So at 11:59.59, the smart contract calls the oracle to get the price of those assets in the moment. The oracle returns that data. And this is all, there's nobody in the room going, yeah, okay, smart contract, hold on, let me look up the price of that, looks like it's, and then that's how it's working. This is all in code. This is all automated in code. Okay? So it needs to be like that. And if 1 million people are playing this game, which is possible, that's a lot of money relying on how well does that smart contract monitor at this time ping the oracle, get the response, choose from a vote of predictions, which one is right and which one was submitted first. That's the winner. You guys technical enough to be able to follow what I just said? So, that's actually what I just described to you was the first thing I ever did in blockchain 3.5 years ago. I built a project that does exactly that. It was using Chainlink. Okay, but again, the contract is dependent on a time clock, an oracle feed, getting that oracle, being able to search for the matching number. It's not like find the winner. It's here's a number, find the matching, find the oldest one, win. That's all. No, there's no person cranking that from behind the scenes. Does that make sense? Now, getting back to research. Now, and the reason that's an important topic to research is what oracles are most trusted. What oracles offer the most functionality. And, I just mentioned RWAs. A good research question is, what oracles are currently set up to be the most robust source of off-chain data for RWA projects on Solana? That's a research question. Okay? Now, for my purpose, what would I do? I'd go study oracles. What are they? I'd go understand what are RWAs. What are they? Where is that RWA data coming from? Are they trusted sources? You know, I'm not going to go to Berg's gold pricing, website and trust that as the source off chain, because that's another thing that's important. Is the source off chain a trusted source of content and data? You're going to want to identify, is that a point of failure or vulnerability? Is that a centralized point that your, purist Web3 people are going to be like, wait a minute, I don't want to use that pricing source because it's centralized and can be manipulated and can liquidate me. As Doug just mentioned, one bad slip up of an oracle of a price feed being wrong, and people are losing lots of money being liquidated. That means they're either long or they're shorting something, and they're betting against the price action. If it drops that hard that fast, they lose their money. People like me that do lending and borrowing get some of it. So, anyway, that's what's going on. Some of the hot topics right now for research. I mean, I think it's worth saying this, and then I'll take another question. RWAs are hot. Okay? RWAs, real world assets. DPIN, decentralized physical infrastructure networks. Very hot. If you don't know what Helium is, and if you don't know what Hive Mapper is, go look them up. These are disrupting legacy projects. Okay? We're working on something that is intended to disrupt legacy. Some legacy areas are okay with being disrupted because they need the help. Some are not because they're going to lose money. Hive Mapper is doing pretty good because, I don't think Google Maps and Apple and all them, I don't think they feel like they're going to be competed with. Helium the same. But we're working on a project that could disrupt the private online publishing of academic research. Those folks are not going to want that. We built in program a couple cohorts ago a project that removes the need for small claim insurance for farmers in India. They're going to block that because insurance companies don't want to give up any of their pot. So you got to, these are things to consider. What do I want to try to disrupt? What do I want to expose as a researcher? What's the viability of this actually happening in the short term because of how powerful some of these organizations are? Stable coins. I mean, really the number one topic I would say right now that you should probably make sure you're aware of is stable coins and payments. It is the PMF of the moment and probably has been and might be for a little bit for crypto. Digital payments, stablecoin payments, cross geographical line, remittance, all that stuff. That's the big one. So, questions, other questions about research, about what we do in our research program, anything that I can tell you about. I got other stuff I can show you if you want.
I guess
Give me an area of interest. Give me an area that is this the group, by the way? Is this the same group that was doing the counter program?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we've been in this classroom for like 5 hours.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about the counter program for a minute. Because I think there's actually a lot of value in this, because you probably are not aware of what you actually just did. When we do our programming, we don't do counters and hello world. We don't do that stuff. People come to us on how to do a lot more than that. And I mean, I encourage the guys to just jam on what we do with our prereqs and and all that stuff with you guys, and just ape in. If that was easy for you, Berg, the harness is off. Let it rip, man.
What?
The harness is off. Let it rip. Start just like going crazy. No, I'm just saying, like, if Hello World Encounter was.
Oh yeah, oh that yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the manifest
so-
contract.
What you actually did is the counter program is a very simple program with a lot of utility. And Hello World has no utility. I mean, the only utility is holy crap, I got it to work. That's the utility of Hello World. But the counter program has a lot of utility. I mean, it has utility in a lot of different verticals in Web3. What do you guys think? I mean, think about what a smart contract does. Smart contract executes based on inputs and constraints, conditions, and spits an output. And that's generally what it does. Of course, it also checks who's engaging and making sure they are who they say they are, you know, checking their ID and all that stuff. But where can you see the value in a counter program? What utility? And if you don't know on-chain that well, think about in general society when you need to count stuff like that.
How much something left? How much something left?
How much something left?
I mean, it's simple math. It could be a giveaway, and every time someone accesses it, the ticker goes up. When it hits a condition, you're done. Or counts down. You can do it both ways, right? You could, minus equal 1 if you want. But I mean, what else? I mean, think about like real governance and real society need.
Vote. Yep.
Voting.
Voting
When
for
we,
president.
I mean, it's a voting mechanism. Yeah, I mean, like, you're at AthensDAO. The Dean's List guys are there. The Realms guys are there. At the core, look, at the core, almost everything in a crypto smart contract is going to be an escrow. That which isn't an escrow is probably a counter.
Just Lego pieces. That's all it is. Posing your Lego pieces.
Yeah. And I mean, look, it could also be first 100 people to play this game get a share of the proceeds. Now you have two programs, right? You need something to count and send a message to a program that takes funds in and then releases on a condition to certain recipients. Okay? Or first 100 people to get this question right. Okay, check the answer. You got it right. Count up. Save that wallet address. Send a message over to the distribution. These conditions have been met. These are the recipients. Send. So a counter program is incredibly important. The trick is, and this is what we do in our programs, now that you know that, go play with it and think about other use cases for it and try to flesh out these other components around it. Be creative. I mean, we're living in a creative industry. The people that are fearless and creative, they're the ones that are pushing the boundaries of this stuff. If you're just going to sit and get and do it the way that it was given to you, I mean, you could probably make a living, but it's not going to be as fun as going, hey, let's break some shit. So, what other use cases of the vote?
It was a good example of a PDA. Yeah.
What's a PDA? Who in the room that is not from my team knows what a PDA is? Toby, you don't count. What's a PDA? Do they know that yet? What's a PDA?
Basically an account that stores just data, it's not executing something.
Yeah, very good. So, PDA is probably the best starting point for talking about the big difference between a Solidity smart contract and Ethereum chain and Solana. And it really is logically, for someone who's not as technical, the best way to understand why one is fast and cheap and the other is slow and expensive. All that stuff in Solidity on EVM lives in the contract. All the state of what's happening lives in the smart contract in Solidity. That's a lot of work that has to be done every time that state is impacted. And work is expense and time. It takes time and money to make things happen. That's why Solidity is slow and expensive. Whereas in Solana, it's like, only grab it if you need it. The PDA is, I only access it if I need it. I keep my program lean and mean. If I need to call my friend and just, hey, tell me what's in there, cool, yeah, change this by. Not, oh, here's the Solidity contract, I gotta go and find that. Oh, there it is, I'm gonna change it. That's the difference. A PDA, quick call into it from a short contract, get a response, boom. EVM, you're going through it. And look, the longer the contract's been around, more than something's up with it, that's just more. That's why, that's the performance difference in a nutshell right there. So, yeah, I mean, and the example that I just gave, PDA is, maybe you have your cross-program invocation of the counter to the escrow. They need to talk to each other, in order to execute. Cool. So, what else can I tell you? Look, you guys been in the room for 5 hours. What do you want to know about Turbine, about Solana, about how to get involved, about professional opportunities, about anything? Ask away. Do not be shy. We are not shy people.
No, I'm really shy.
You're the least shy person in Athens. And when you're in the US, you're the second least shy person because we're on the same continent.
Yeah, we can divide by the Mississippi. We can use that. You're on the other side.
Alright, you hurt my head there, Jack.
Yeah, I'm hitting my own head.
How do you feel, man?
Horrible. My body is shutting down. It's great. I'm better than yesterday, at least. Tireder, but not as sick.
He feels how he looks.
Tired. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you can't see me. You didn't see me at the start of your lecture. I took a quick 10-minute nap on the floor under the screen.
None of it surprises me.
No.
Okay, so folks, real question. When he taking the nap, was he pretending he was being small and furry?
Look at this.
No.
It's on Discord.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if there wasn't a picture of me.
Oh, that needs to be on Twitter. Since we have a small group, I'd love to hear about who y'all are and what you want to do. Like, are you in it to win it? Are you trying to get into Solana? What do you want to do?
Who wants to start?
I'm an Ethereum developer, but I want to learn also Solana.
Okay, so you understood what I was saying though about Solidity versus EVM with that.
Yes, I know. The complex of the state.
The interesting thing, here's what's going to translate really well for you. The business logic part's going to translate well for you. And really, for a lot of people, if you go in, because we have a lot of people that come from Ethereum and come into our programs, and they think that everything's going to translate. And if they're great at Solidity, they're going to be great. And we say, look, hold on. Here's what's going to translate. Here's what you got to focus on early. You got to focus on why the account model is different than how Solidity handles state. If you embrace that part early in your transition, it is much easier. If you disregard that, and you're sitting in the room and we're talking about PDAs and we're talking about CPIs and bumps and seeds, you're gonna be like, understand tackle what is very different. And then the business logic part makes more sense. And don't worry about Rust. The guys in the room, they've heard me say this a million times. Rust is the easiest part of building Solana programs.
No problem with Rust. I like Rust.
It's very beautiful.
Yes, it's beautiful.
It is, and here's the thing about Rust on Solana, in Anchor programs in particular. Okay? The Rust book is about that big. Because I printed it out, because I'm old. 630 pages. You need about 80 of those pages to be able to write smart contracts on Solana. You do not need to be a Rust expert. And in Anchor, it's even easier, because it's just so much muscle memory. You pick up the design patterns and you rip them. Now, we then rip those. We rip the training wheels off with the best developers we have, and then we say, okay, you're not allowed to use Anchor. Let's just use all native Rust and Pinocchio and whatever else.
The best.
But yeah. On that topic, by the way, Berg, I was talking to Jacob about that this morning I have a call with Eva this week, which is cool.
We love Jacob in this room. Jacob's our best friend.
Okay, so I mean, look, look, our Q2 cohorts kick off in March. Come jam with us. This is the vibe that you're getting. This is what we do. But we go fast and it's intense. And people don't believe us when we tell them that until 2 weeks in, they're like, oh. It's real. It's a real world program. It's not a boot camp. So.
It's very true.
Yeah, wait, Jeff, how do you like about the slogan of other boot camps give you NFTs, we get you a job?
Sounds good.
Yeah, and look, we don't promise people jobs, but we do promise that you work your butt off for us, we're gonna work our butt off for you. It's what we do. It's Saturday for me, and after this call, I've got 2 calls with projects that are hiring, and I insist on having live calls with these people so I can learn exactly everything I need to know, not only about what they need technically, but about their culture. Because I know anybody that's graduated from us, I know them personally on a level that I can say this person may or may not be a good culture fit for you. Because everybody we placed in 2024 stayed with his or her original job through the original contract. Because we have a replacement clause with these teams that we provide talent for. No one needed it the whole year. Because we take the time to know our people, and we also take the time to know the projects.
And that's why the live sessions are really important. That's what we also talked about. That even though it's build a score, you could possibly watch the videos, you could possibly go through the material, but it's not the same when we get the feeling who you are, so we can get the best match for you.
And if you're really good, then you're allowed to take 2 cohorts at once.
So, Dodi, would you mind telling other people in the room, since, look, I'm the founder, I should be showing my project. I'd love to hear your thoughts so far on the research program and what we're doing in SDN. Just share with your peers there.
Jeff, I have a question.
Yeah.
My background is architecture, real architecture, buildings. And since there is a fast-moving and transition world, in architecture, from inception to design to construction to completion, it takes 10-15 years for a proper project. So, is there a way of utilizing these things with architecture?
So that is an absolutely fabulous question. I love that question.
It's a real world design and construction, but
there is also the metaverse,
So when we first started doing this, we would ask people that were applying about their background, non-technical background. Because we had a lot more people that didn't know how to code coming to us. We wanted to know what else they did, how's their math, can they speak multiple world languages, can they read music. These were all things that we determined could predict potential success for people with no programming background. What you just described is an incredibly needed skill set in our industry. Because, well, W didn't get this, but W knows what I'm talking about. We just passed the stage in our builders cohort where people submitted a letter of intent, and right now they're writing their user stories. And off their user story, they're going to create an architectural diagram based on the functionality that the user story describes. Architectural diagramming, architectural design for use case and audience is an incredibly important skill. So that background actually translates very well to a gap in our industry. That people aren't thinking architecturally, they're not thinking about the end user, they're just sitting down and slinging code.
And
We
they're not
force all
thinking
more people to
10, 15
submit
years.
architectural designs for every project. Because our dev shop, people come to us, we say to them, look, we're gonna listen to what you want. We're gonna write a user story based on what we think we're hearing, and then we're gonna give you an architectural design that we believe is gonna execute that. You need to sign off on that to make sure we're doing what you want. So that's a great background to have. I think, the programming side of it, if you've never programmed before, there's actually some advantages. Like, have you ever done any coding?
yeah, not much, but many years ago. So
Yeah.
it's like starting from scratch.
Yeah, well, there's an advantage there, but let me tell you, with the advantage that you have, that you don't know anything else, so all you're gonna learn is this to start.
Right.
Okay, sometimes people start learning Rust and they're like, oh my gosh, the borrow checker. That's the thing that people who know many languages freak out about. But if you don't know it, let me just be completely candid with you. The hardest part is setting up. And the second hardest part is testing. Writing the actual code in the middle is actually the easiest part. Okay, so I tell you that not to scare you from starting, but so that you have the understanding and the expectations are set right. Some people are like, oh, Rust. Then they struggle setting up and they're like, oh my gosh, if this is so hard, the Rust is going to be impossible. No, setting up is the hardest part. If you're on a Windows machine, don't even try to set up Solana. It won't work. People don't know that. And they bang their head and then they go on Twitter and say it's impossible to build on Solana. No, don't use a Windows machine. Unless you have what's called WSL. You have a Linux subsystem and Ubuntu on the side. But, getting that set up, loading all of your dependencies, getting the CLI going, all that setup, having a VS Code on your machine, that is a much bigger lift than writing a counter program and then fleshing that counter program out. And maybe using your architect's mind and saying, I want to build this big building that's going to have at its core this counting function. What are the things do I want to put around it? And just architect a project around a counter that you think would be interesting for an audience. That part's the easier part. And then at the end, testing it. Testing it's hard because everyone's like, ooh, I'm done. All I have to do is write the TypeScript tests. Sure. But if you look at any repo of an Anchor project, you'll see the little, how much of it's Rust and how much of it's TypeScript.
I'm going to show them. Don't worry.
Hi, Jack.
Hello.
Hey, shirt on, no cat.
Look at this shit.
But anyway, yeah. If you look at the repo, what you'll see is I can pull it up really fast, Shaq.
You're the only one that can't see. Everyone else is looking at the 97.1.
All right, let me guess. If it's an anchor program that was done in our course, it's probably going to be about 62% or 50, 52, 48, 62, 38 more TypeScript than Rust.
No, it's 97.2% TypeScript, but this is because it's a full stack app that has.
Yeah.
It's.
I'm talking about just like the anchor program or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sold it. What a great project. That's a project on Solana.
.RPG.
That's the best name I've ever made for any of my projects. You know exactly what it is based on just the name.
We know exactly who you are based on just
Aha, here we go. Boom. 66.8 to 33.2. Just as Jeff said. And to give you actual, like... So, for example, each of these Rust files here is what, 20 to 50 lines times, let's say, so like 500 to 600 lines of code for the Rust here, and the test file here, let's see how many lines you are, 800. So, about that same ratio.
So it is, yeah, and I tell this to people just to kind of demystify the idea of people coming to Solana thinking, I'm gonna have to chew on all this Rust glass, and it's gonna be so hard. Again, the amount of Rust that you need is not gonna blow your head off your neck. Now, you get into the SVM program or the native program, yeah, there's a lot more Rust. But the way we do it is, it's almost like language immersion. We're going to throw you in a pool of Rust, and you're going to either figure out how to speak it or you're going to drown.
A beautiful pool of Rust.
You won't drown, you won't let you. But yeah, I mean, if you're a smart person and you can think logically, you can learn how to do this stuff on some level. I can't predict how fast or how far you can go, but it's learnable. And if you want me to help you get started, just ping me on the side, get my contact. I'll hop a one-on-one call, learn exactly where you are, and get you set up and rolling.
Lovely.
Yeah, totally.
Thanks.
All right, let's go around the room. Who's next? Okay, because you had.
He really wants to talk with you because
Tell me about yourself.
Well, basically, I reached out before and I asked, what are you doing about product discovery? Because for me, like, I don't know your name, but when he spoke about architecture or design and all of this, for me, value proposition gets validated in product discovery stage. You don't need to build it. If you have to build it to test it with users, you're wasting time and resource anyway. So this is what I asked before. So you have a program that you call it research. In my field anyway, we call it product discovery. So CTO sits with product and UX, they build it as leaders, and then after they validate it with the user, not with someone else, then they build it. They don't care about the tech, if it's Solana, Ethereum, if it's Web3, Web1, if it's on a phone or whatever. This is part of the solution architecture. So this is my background. I'm supposed to be a UX director, but I have a background in development, and I'm part of, anyway, I'm mostly a user of Web3 services, and if I can find a project that's needing my services, I would jump in as a mentor or digital strategist, but not a coder. And I don't see the designers or, people, idea creators part welcome too much, to be honest. I see only technical contacts being, it's like, you need a validated idea that solves a real problem. So, to waste your time anyway. Otherwise,
No, I
just
absolutely agree. I mean,
otherwise, like you said in the beginning, Hello World has no utility. For me, there's no reason for me to learn Hello World. For me, the first thing is before I touch the mouse, to come up with the idea and then find the underlying tech to build it. But that's just me.
So look, it's interesting. We work with a lot of investors, through helping people that build with us. Once they get their idea validated and so on, and they have investors looking at them, and one of the first things almost every investor is going to say is, why is this better on a blockchain than not? Like, if you're building something that's inherently better on legacy tech, why don't build it on a blockchain just to build it on a blockchain? So that's one thing. But UX research and validating ideas and use case and all those things, we admittedly do it out of order because our focus heretofore has been on training people how to be builders. We use the project process to give them something real to sink their teeth into that is unique to the individual. Sometimes, excuse the expression, we step in shit and someone builds something great. We have a lot of our products that have made it on mainnet, and actually they're people that had the idea before they built the tech.
Yeah.
We are, more on the research side, we are looking for problems that need to be solved and that can be better solved with this technology.
I'm speaking about design thinking or design sprints. Design sprint can happen in a week. A design sprint can happen in a week. Part one is research and iteration. Part two is how you define. So first you diverge, then you converge, and then you can build a prototype in the end of the week. But don't start with the tech, start with the problem. This is what I mean. And this is like how Google does it, how Bill does it, but for you, this is legacy tech, but I work in this kind of industry.
Well, it's how we do our capstone project.
Yeah.
What you just is how we do the capstone. We're teaching people the underlying tech skills. And then we say, come up with your idea for a product. Yeah. Write a letter of intent, let us give you feedback on the viability of it, the product market fit of it, and give you the feedback there. And then you write a user story, and we validate that your user story is accurately hitting a use case and that there's a user base for it, and then what your intent is going to be received. And then they do an architectural diagram, and then they write the code. So we do it in the same order on the capstone side of the project, but the actual course itself is tech-based. So we're teaching people, I'll give you a good example is this. We believe that the escrow model is at the core of 90% of what's built on blockchain. Okay? It is a core technical component. And we have people to turn in their letters of intent before we do the escrow by design. Because we tell them, while you're learning the escrow now, how does it fit into your product? Okay? What do you need to now do with that to make that serve your product? So we do it both ways, but yeah, you're right. We are meant to train developers and engineers. It's what we're asked to do, and technical founders come out of our program because that's who they are coming in. But as far as advisory goes, if you want to help advise on some of these things, right now we have 120 people who submitted ideas, and there's about 8 or 10 of us that are providing support on that. I would love to get you involved. Your lens and your vision, because look, there's 8 of us, 120 of them. There's probably 120. There's more than 8 ways that to look at the idea. And if we bring you in and help you just jump into Discord and chat with people once in a while, that gives another lens. It may get more people to say, this is how I look at it. I want to talk to this guy more.
Yeah, I understand. Thanks for the...
Absolutely. I'd love to have you. But I mean, look, we don't do accelerators. We don't do incubation because we are not a product-focused group. If we were, quite frankly, with the talent we have at our disposal, we'd be building products, not running education.
Yeah.
But it's not what we do, and that's okay. because there's a lot of really good product-minded people out there. And actually, Doty's going to meet one of them this week. Matty Taylor, who is one of the founders of Coliseum, is a really excellent product guy.
But like you said, you do testing. So testing is supposed to be user-centered. So someone has to write the use cases, someone has to talk to the user and analyze their feedback. This is part of the experience as well. It's not a technical skill. I'm just saying that there are a lot of different cases because you need to empathize with the user, understand it. Maybe you build the underlying tech and maybe it's a software that makes voice recognition, or the user doesn't have a hand, so you cannot use the software, or he has, I don't know, some disability, or this is part of the European laws that are going to be voted on March also. I don't think any developer is aware of this at this moment, that there's a law coming in Europe that has to do with it's like GDPR, but for accessibility. So the software you produce needs to follow these rules. This is like my bread and butter. But you need to be aware of this. So yeah, okay. Anyway, just trying to
let's chat about it. I mean, I'd love to get one of the guys your contact information. I'd love to dive into this more because UX research is it's a pain point in Web3 for the reasons you just said.
Yeah.
But UX research, one of our friends that's a friend also, the Dean's List guys, Moxie is considered one of the better people in the US in UX research. She's really, really strong at it. Monal Chokshi is her name. And we talk about this a lot. And it's a gap. And as I mentioned before, I'm looking for gaps to fill and finding really smart people that can help us fill those gaps. So I'd love to talk with you further on this. Usually, we do things a little backwards, and people do build products, and then they go to these accelerators, and the accelerators say, how are you going to get your first 100 users, and then how are you going to, get their feedback? And it's a little bit backwards. But it does work for some, and for others it doesn't, which is why there's a junkyard full of good ideas that are never being used because they never went through that step.
Yeah, business model generation. I think this was also a question in most of the speakers yesterday. Like, very good ideas, but what's your business model? How are you gonna make revenue? Which is you're supposed to figure out. I think they asked it today also to together with building the they asked it again. Because we're in beta testing, we'd like to get you on board. And the question was, what's your business model?
Yeah.
So, I mean, great idea, but how are you going to monetize?
I think the Solana hackathons do a really good job of inspiring that thinking in people, because you actually, you're actually going for funding on an idea, on a prototype. And you have to make your pitch deck, and you have to make your video and all that stuff, and you're really selling to an investor that is looking for ROI. And, the Coliseum guys do a really good job of, really pushing that hard. Like, what's your business model? Because you're not going to get the funding to continue to build the tech if the people that are going to give you that money can't see how they're going to, recoup and then make money and maybe 10x on that investment. They've got to make a bet on you that not just know the tech, but they actually know how to run a business and generate revenue. It's absolutely a major area of need. And candidly, if that's your background and you have a parallel interest in Web3, you'll find opportunities. Because that kind of thinking and process is very much
basically, we build an ecosystem of solutions, and we have customers like BP and so on. I work for a San Francisco-based company. I do work in Greece. I work remotely. But anyway, we tokenize energy. We don't tokenize energy that powers devices. So anyway, different spectrum. But anyway, Web3 is my passion, but I have to make a living, right? It's like okay. And we'll shut down now because there's a lot of people in the room also.
That is, there's an opportunity for really smart people in every sector to get involved because it's such a nascent industry.
Yeah.
Who's next?
But the good thing is that everybody can learn if you're asking the good questions, so that's what's happening now.
Yeah.
Actually, I learned from this discussion, I can say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have to be familiar with the Stanford design thinking model, right?
Yeah, I think I told you before, yeah, that I told him that it was made in Stanford like 40 years ago. This is what I mentioned also, design thinking and design sprints. I'm like supposed to be coach level, in the design thinking. From certified from IBM and so on.
Mean Six Sigma black belt?
No. This has to do with project management.
I know it's different, but it's just the most buzzwordy thing I can
First of
say.
all, because I learn the rule set and then I break it. I'm very bad with frameworks. I just like pointers. I don't like sticking with the rule set. I have a music background. I started making music when I was 14. I have a Master of Arts, and then I pivoted. I went to computing school, then pivoted to arts, and then pivoted to development, and then pivoted to UX, and it's kind of a big journey, yeah.
When I was working in private schools, we used the Stanford model to design new programs, and so very familiar with the DT school. And I think it's probably inherent in some of my thinking, like I identify a gap. I mean, that's really what it is. There's a gap in the industry. What fills that gap? Because if there's a gap, there's users that need something.
Yeah.
What fills it? And except my process is a little bit more ship it, iterate, not do a lot of research before shipping it. Right, wrong, or indifferent. It's definitely different approaches.
Yeah. My only concern is when do you speak with actual user and when the iteration starts. This needs to come early in the process.
Yes.
Speak with the end user. That's my only. You can be just one developer that speaks to the user because I think we have too many hats. The developer, front end, back end, tester, designer, whatever. When I started computing in London in 2000, it was just one guy, and it was called multimedia technology then, and you could build, Flash or whatever. You had to do everything, and everybody thought you were, I don't know, playing computer games. It wasn't very cool, to studying computer games then. Anyway, so now I think we have too many different positions for the same thing. Just build a solution for someone's problem. But I think the way you iterate and you listen to feedback and you incorporate this feedback into the end solution, if it's viable also, because people need to understand that it needs to be viable, it needs to be, all the viability and so on.
Yeah.
Too much product.
Well, that's one of the main reasons also why we do this live.
Yeah.
Because we are talking to our users every day. Our users are the people in our brains. Their users are the end users, the public. So, all right, who else? Tell me a little bit about you. Who else in the room? Don't hide.
Alright, we'll start pointing at people.
Yeah, look, there's 3 of you who I haven't heard from yet. Well, 2 of you.
Stop turning around. You know I'm pointing at you.
Okay. I'm Nikolai. Right. I'm interested in how to interact with Solana and smart contracts and build instruction and learn more about JITA and MERS.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So, have you guys done the CLI client-side stuff yet?
No, I don't think we're gonna. Or kind of. Not CLI, but client-side stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I a little bit know JITA is another client and
yeah, he's like validator clients and Jito and Mev is what he's been.
And also upcoming one more is Fire Dancer.
Yeah, there's a bunch. There's Fire Dancer. There's like, God, how many validators are there at this point?
Indica is building one in Zig. Paladin has
Paladin. That's the stuff. Is Temporal building one, or is that just KV building his own cast and he works at Temporal?
So Katie is building stuff for his temporal validator. Yeah,
Okay,
trying
so
to,
it's yeah.
like he's always trying to squeeze everything out of everything.
Yeah, he's just
I don't know how much of a rhyme or reason. I don't know that you could say he's building his own client. I think he's just always tinkering to try to squeeze another lamp port out of something.
Yeah, this is the guy that's like, oh, I made it so that transaction deserialization takes 10 less compute units, and it's like, that's amazing, but like, why?
Well, I mean, look, it's time and money.
Yeah.
You know,
If you
it's
do
time and money.
Wait, so on the MEV stuff, real quick, Nikolai, right?
Yeah.
So the document we talked about earlier, the Solana how it works. So for the SVM stuff, you had to go through that document and see what area interested, like us. And I was also very interested in that part. So especially the last part of the document goes kind of into how Jito works, how they do stuff with the mempool, and that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that, I would highly recommend the document. Yeah.
Are those links aggregated anywhere? We can
Yeah,
find
I'll put it up on the slides. Or it's just Solana, how it works. But
yeah, I remember the initial link, but all those presentations that you are showing us, they are on this website as well, or?
No,
Oh,
the
no,
presentations are not.
Made those
yeah, we made
last
those.
night.
Ah, okay.
We shared those.
Yeah, probably.
This is the reason.
Why do you think we only got 7 hours of night sleep?
Got busted.
Yeah, I was supposed to be there, but the airlines here in where I was decided it was too cold, even though the sun was shining, to fly me to Munich and then to Athens. So,
It's a pity.
yeah, look, MEV is very interesting. The one thing I always try to encourage people to consider when exploring MEV is it's a completely different animal on Solana than it is in Solidity. And the mempool and some of the other real marked differences between how the virtual machines work and validation works. It would be interesting to you. I'll try to find it. There's an older Jito article where they compare what the difference is between what Jito does and what the Solidity MEV model is. I'll try to find it and send it over to the guys to pass off to you. Understanding that difference will help you a lot because you'll come across a lot of information where people talk about them as being the same, and it's misinformation because they're saying they're trying to say, well, Solana does or doesn't do this, or EVM does or doesn't do this, because they're defining MEV the same way, and they're very, very different on the two chains. And knowing those differences is, if it's something you're really interested in, we've got to put our bag bias and tribalism aside so that we're informed as objectively as we can of these differences so that we can become expert on the side that, because if you're becoming expert on Solana and you're reading something that's, EVM oriented, there's going to be misinformation. There's going to be, a collision of information that sidetracks you understanding and being able to do some meaningful things. So, I would encourage that. And yeah, the Paladin is very good. Jito does some really cool stuff. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, what's going on with voting modifications is interesting work too, because that's financially driven. Basically, there are teams that are closed sourcing their validator voting process to manipulate the configurations to try to get more voting credits, to generate more revenue, to share with their stakers, and to draw more stakes so that the validator organization themselves can capture more of its own revenue. So it's the two biggest pieces on that lately are TVC, which is timely vote credits, is an interesting one, and the backfilling SIMD. So if you are really technical and you're interested in the validator, you'll want to go to the Solana forum and look at the SIMDs. Not single input, multiple data. It's Solana improvement. Okay, SIMD. So the SIMDs are really interesting. You'll get a really good lens into the evolution of mostly validator functionality and you'll be able to extrapolate, why was this done then to future MEV and revenue capture and security. One of the things we're looking at now, just on that line, is, and this is a very general way of saying this, if more than 34% of this people staking are with validators that are running a closed source validator that lags their voting time to be able to vote on the best fork so that they can get more vote credits for voting on the right fork, could that stall the chain? So is what people are doing to try to capture more revenue potentially problematic for stalling the chain? So as you look at MEV, and you look at different strategies that people are incorporating to try to capture more value, is it dangerous from a chain health standpoint? It's just an interesting thing to keep in mind. At what point do we reach that threshold of this is not a good idea because it could hurt the chain, or this is a good idea because I can make more money doing it without hurting the chain? Yeah, you had your hand raised up there, far right, left.
I did a quick research and I think I got my answer. Basically, I wasn't sure when we were talking about SIMD what we were referring to, because I had it associated with like single commands when you like apply vectorized on something, but it's actually
every word in Solana
simple.
means two things. They love to confuse us. It's Solana improvement document.
Yeah, Solana improvement.
Because they couldn't call it, or I guess no, it'd be SIP, but they definitely couldn't call it SMD. But
No. Yeah, but like this
Well, I mean,
confusion.
look, it's like they, for about a half a minute, they changed the Berkeley packet filter to SBF, Solana bytecode format, and then refer to anything on Solana as SBF became a really bad idea.
Yeah.
True.
All right, my friend in the way back, hiding.
that's you, phone.
Hi, my name is Jay. I'm not really a developer, even though I have a degree in coding.
My co-founder has a computer engineering degree and he hasn't written code in 14 years.
I don't know how to do a hello world in any language, but I've been in Solana for like 3.5 years maybe, and I came to this course more like to get into the nitty gritty to kind of understand what goes on behind, because when you're pretty much an end user, you get into a kind of magical type of thinking when you're using an app, because like you don't know what's going on. I've signed like tens of thousands of Solana like contracts. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Yeah, and that's why I came to this class. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you're here. Look, I don't know what the guys have shared with you yet exactly, just because
I don't know.
It's 8 hours difference here. I think it's what, like 5:30 there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You're so good now.
Oh, so you guys are like at the end, right?
Yes, sir. I can't wait to go back to sleep.
Let me leave it with this. We have a very, as you probably can tell by the guys in the room, we have a very open, not only open, but open-minded community. We question everything. The Solana Foundation came to us and said, we want you to build a transpiler in TypeScript so that people can write Anchor programs that compile in TypeScript that compile to Anchor and can be used. And of course we asked why, and they had some good reasons, and so we built it. They went to a lot of other people over the previous 1.5 years before they came to us, and they said, no, can't do that, that's dumb. We're open-minded, we're an open community, we're very social, we like to talk, obviously. Get involved, get with any of these guys in the room, ping us, ping me.
Join Discord.
Yeah, Discord, Twitter, whatever, just holler at me. Happy to have a one-on-one with you. Find out what you want to do, what you want to know, and how to help you do it. Maybe with us, maybe with other people. We're fairly well networked. But if you do have an interest in getting more involved with Solana beyond, going to Phantom and making some swaps on, Jupiter, or, locking some tokens on, for a yield, just hit us up. We're always happy to jam with people, and, help you out. And everybody's welcome. So, I'll leave it with that. I know Jack needs to go get his PD rest. W's a legend here, and Berg is likewise legend. These are all guys that we know, that we've worked with, and you can see how we all get along. These three guys here, they've never met each other in person.
Yeah, this is the first time.
First time.
I didn't know what W was until like yesterday.
So, and I mean, look, I've never in person met these other three guys, but we're very close, and we work really well together. And if that vibe feels good to you, hit us up. Happy to get you involved, however it's meaningful for you.
You had a hand?
Yes. I wanted to ask something kind of simple because I went to the Turbine website and I don't see, because you mentioned some Discord server, but I don't see any links. I can't find a section. There's Twitter, GitHub, obviously, YouTube, but I don't
Yeah,
see.
we usually add people to the Discord like once they've joined a cohort.
Oh, okay.
But I mean,
Signed up. Here you go.
Yeah.
Come in and join.
Yeah, if you're
Come in,
here
hi,
today,
tell us your name.
but yeah,
Say,
you guys have
just
taken a
check
course
that,
that you're allowed to.
admins.
All right, that's okay. So I will actually send you guys that because you guys have access to the Google Meet.
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah,
scan
we got like
the...
1,600 people in our
Yeah, I'll
Discord.
pop
The
that
only
on my
thing
phone, I think.
We'll only boot you if you start saying one token.
Invite.
On the first week, you get to make your own. So.
Yeah, what were you saying?
Yeah, about one token. In the first week, you get to make your own. So.
Yeah, you get to rug everybody.
Uh-huh.
How do you? Is there not a QR code scanner for this? I guess there really isn't. Share and okay.
Yeah.
That's way easy.
Yeah, and W actually brings up a good point. We work really hard and go fast, but we have a good old time doing it. Because that's something that I learned working with adults in my previous industry. That is, if people are having fun, the hard parts of the experience won't feel as hard.
Yep. So that's what I say to my front end students. You're inflicting unbelievable pain onto yourself by being a front end engineer in Solana. So let's have fun while we're at it, so you can smile through the pain.
Yep. All right, y'all. Thank you guys. This was great. I'm glad we had a chance to connect. Bird, Dub, and Jack, thanks as always. Love you guys.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Thanks for the seventh inning stretch.
Thanks for the insights. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.